Hello Blazer fans, and welcome to this edition of the BlazersEdge.com videocast. I'm Dave Deckard from BlazersEdge.com with the brain behind the camera and our crack Blazers Edge videocast staff, here to bring you the best in Portland Trail Blazers questions, answers, and discussion. We're going to dive right in with our very first question. Dave, recent discussions at Blazers Edge have set a friend and me arguing, and we need you to settle a bet. Which was the stupider draft move? Taking Greg Oden over Kevin Durant, or taking Martell Webster over Chris Paul and Deron Williams? Okay, first of all, thanks for asking the most depressing question possible. You win the prize. Give me a bottle full of Xanax and I can take a crack at answering it, I think. I would say that Martell Webster over Chris Paul or Deron Williams was the more preventable of the two moves. The Blazers needed all kinds of talent in 2005. Relying on Sebastian Telfair as their point guard was obviously a mistake in many ways, and they needed just any kind of talent that they could get. But it was also an understandable move if preventable. 2005 was the exact year of the NBA rule changes on hand checking. Those rule changes made point guards come to the fore. Before that, the paradigm had been a big scoring wing as your gate to elite status. The Blazers were guilty, if anything, of relying on the old paradigm when the new one was coming into force. Now, the Oden pick was more inevitable. He was a once-in-a-lifetime center. There was no way that you could pass on him. But that said, the effect of the move was far greater than the other. Neither one of those two point guards are with their original teams. Neither one of them led their teams very deep into the playoffs. Oden, I think, was the missing piece to take the Blazers to the promised land. So the answer to your question depends on how you define stupid. In the abstract, if it's just a cerebral thing, Webster was the more calculated mistake. But if stupid is as stupid does, then the answer is Greg Oden. Since he's the biggest draft bust of all time, I think I'm going to go with Oden, but your mileage may vary. Dave, what are the chances of the Lakers stealing Nick Batum from us this offseason? And is there any way we get Goran Dragic and Roy Hibbert without losing Aldridge, Batum, and Hickson? Signed, Tenzin. The answer to the Lakers part of the question is virtually none. They'd have to drop Andrew Bynum to get under the cap, and if they do that, then the Blazers should give him Batum and go after Bynum themselves. As far as Goran Dragic, you can get him if you have enough money and you can give him enough opportunity, and the Blazers can do both. They certainly will be a player in the Dragic field this offseason. As far as Roy Hibbert, though, he's a restricted free agent, and as we mentioned on site a few days ago, the Pacers are going to match any offer that's made to them. They're not looking to rebuild, they're looking to add pieces to make a championship run. Why in the world would they want to lose a good young starting center who's 7'2" with legitimate size? There's no way that happens, and there's no way the Blazers can get Hibbert. In response to your recent post about point guards of the future, I think it's critical that the Blazers get a good point guard. But do you feel that it could be championship suicide if we did get an elite point guard? Few recent championship teams actually had one in the year they won the title. I'm not saying we have a chance at a championship in the near future, just that I feel that the chances would be better with an elite shooting guard or small forward than a point guard. Aaron. Well, the answer might be yes, but not in the way that you mean. Talent brings titles. I mean, that's the beginning and the end of the story. If the Blazers can get an elite point guard, they absolutely need to go for that because they need talent. But the problem with the equation is paying, say, $17 million to Deron Williams and then not being able to build around him. You spent all your cap space, you're locked into his contract and Aldridge's for the near future. How in the world are you going to add enough players around them in order to make a difference? That elusive third all-star level player will evade you. Then you have to ask the question, will Williams and Aldridge alone take the Blazers to the promised land? And I believe the answer to that is no. So, an elite point guard signing may cost the Blazers a chance to go forward, but not because an elite point guard signing is a bad idea, but because it would be so expensive that it would prevent you from spending somewhere else. You might be better off trying to get a high-level player at another position that comes cheaper. Let's pretend for a glorious moment that Deron Williams signs in Portland. Now, put on your interim GM hat and tell us what you would do next. Do you trade Portland's draft picks for a proven player? Do you grab every available player in the hopes that something will work? Do you sign a bunch of one-year deals while you see what this team really needs? Signed, Rick. If the Blazers were lucky enough to get Deron Williams under contract this summer, they need to spend every available asset to make this team better right now. You spend your draft picks, you spend any cap space left over, you trade any players that you can think of in order to build around Williams and Aldridge right now. The Blazers will never have as many assets as they do in the summer of 2012 as long as they have Williams under contract. So it's an all or nothing proposition. You hitch your wagon to his star and you go for it, riding as hard as you can. Dave. Okay, I have to give you credit. You called everything right this year. Raymond Felton, Jamal Crawford, Nolan Smith, the team plummeting into insignificance. My question is, how do you get this information? You can't be coming up with this all on your own. I'm assuming you have well-placed sources, but then I think they can't be sources on the team because you're usually saying the opposite of what they'd say. Spill it. Let us know how you get your great info. Signed, Jerry. Well, I'll tell you, I'd love to answer that question, but we have signed a strict non-disclosure agreement, and therefore legally we cannot... Hold on. We have? When did that happen? All right. Okay, my staff tells me that the non-disclosure agreement has just expired. So, roll the tape. Are you there, God? It's me, Dave.
OMM, when will you sports bloggers quit? What do you want to know about Tebow this time?
No. Nothing like that. I just wanted to know if the Blazers really could rebuild in just one summer.
Ha! No. Do you watch the league at all? I've seen miracles, but sheesh.
Are you sure? Because it really seems like they're intent on trying.
Dude. Who told you Raymond Felton was a bad idea?
Well, you did.
And who told you to stay away from Jamal Crawford?
You did.
And who told you to take Greg Oden over Kevin Durant?
You did. And hey, about that.
Hey. Nobody could have predicted how things would turn out. It was the right move. Besides, suffering is good for the soul.
Well, hey, couldn't Thunder fans suffer for a while then?
Dude, they already live in Oklahoma City.
Touché. Well, I guess that's all I had for you then, God. Let me know if there's anything else I need to know, huh?
I'm still deciding whether to tamper with the draft again. I always try to set you up, but David Stern keeps switching the envelopes.
That guy has so much power.
Yeah, tell me about it. Oh, tell Luke Babbitt I'm sorry in advance as well.
Whoa, for what? Big trade coming?
You got it.
Charlotte?
Thus the apology.
Let me guess. Michael Jordan thinks that Babbitt is the next Larry Bird.
No, Michael Jordan thinks that Babbitt is the next Adam Morrison. He's still trying to make that work.
No kidding. Draft the stash again, huh?
Yeah. That was the worst idea since Gnosticism and Jimmy Swaggart.
Tell me about it. Say, speaking of good ideas, why don't the Blazers just hire you as GM? I mean, you got all that knowledge and stuff.
Nah, they wouldn't want me. Every time I have a basketball decision, I just ask myself, what would Pritchard do?
Yeah, they've been there, done that, I guess.
Oops, gotta go. Amari Stoudemire just got mad and stuck his hand in a Cuisinart.
Whoo, gonna heal him?
Nah, I'm tweeting the pics out to all my followers.
Oh, okay. Later.
Keep your chin up, Sparky, and go Blazers.
Dave, you keep talking about Kyle Lowry as an ideal pickup for the Blazers, and I agree for all the reasons you've mentioned. Talent, low salary, young, and experienced. But how do the Blazers get him? Houston will want to keep him for all the same reasons, right? Evan. In theory, you're absolutely correct. The key to this situation is how much the Rockets like Dragic. If they don't like him at all, they can just let him walk for cap space, and frankly, they'd probably be happy with that. But if they like him even a little bit, you have to consider a couple factors. First of all, Dragic is probably not re-signing anywhere where he's not guaranteed to be the starter. So you have to ask if you can get him to re-sign with you with Lowry still on the team. Second of all, it's not a matter of whether the Rockets like Dragic or Lowry better in the abstract head-to-head. Rather, you have to ask yourself, do the Rockets like Lowry better than Dragic and whatever they could get for Lowry in trade? It's not exactly even. Granted, they do get that cap space if they let Dragic walk, but who knows what you can get with it on the free agent market. Their situation is probably better if they can offer Lowry as trade bait. Then they get Dragic and an asset, a point guard they're happy with, and someone else who's a player of good quality to bolster that roster. So you have to consider that, not just straight up, but what the balance weighs when you consider Lowry in trade. Dave, any chance Elliot Williams comes back to start at point guard for the Blazers? Braze. No, I don't think that happens. Once upon a time, I had hopes for Williams as a point guard, but I think he has shown that he's most comfortable with the shooting role, with the scoring role. His athleticism lends itself to that. I think the Blazers need to let him be what he is, which is a very good, if slightly short, shooting guard. The interesting thing for the Blazers will be Nolan Smith is about the same kind of player with a little more point guard skills and a little less athleticism. What's going to happen in the future with them? They're probably going to have to make a choice between carrying Williams or carrying Smith. Part of what they'll want to figure out in the next couple years is which one of those, if either, they want to go with. It sounds like Wesley will end up representing the team at the draft lottery. But I'm curious, who do you think is the best choice to represent the Blazers in May? Shawns, Paul Allen, Rasheed Wallace? Signed, Blake. Well, I'll tell you, my friend, the guy I'd pick for this important position is definitely and without a doubt. We interrupt your regularly scheduled video cast for this breaking news flash. Ladies and gentlemen, I am coming to you from the inside of a small storage cubby underneath the stairs because the information in my possession is so critical that if I were discovered, my life would be worth nothing. Most Blazer fans understand that Larry Miller went on radio last Friday and declared that he hoped the Portland Trail Blazers got the New Jersey Nets number 4 pick in the lottery, even though New Jersey is not capable of achieving that position. Well, folks, BlazersEdge.com has discovered that our team president is no fool. Instead, he has just blown the lid off of David Stern's latest scheme. Ladies and gentlemen, our commissioner, the commissioner of the NBA, has determined that he will destroy every city that gets in between the New Jersey Nets and that number 4 pick. Wipe them off the map. If you live in New Orleans, if you live in Sacramento, if you live in any lottery city, you are going to want to watch those May 30th drawings very closely. If your city's name is drawn, run. Leave your children, leave your possessions, just get out. Stern will stop at nothing. Astute observers will wonder, what happens if New Jersey gets promoted to the top 3 picks? Well, Commissioner Stern has a plan for that as well. He will create up to 3 cities: Sternville, Adam Silverton, and, if necessary, New Sternville, in order to push the Nets down to that 4th position. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Now let us take a moment of silence for all the Bothans who died to bring us this information. And now, confidential to Kate Upton. If I don't show up on Friday, you know what happened. But hey, don't waste that tub full of Jell-O. Wheel it to an orphanage, feed some hungry kids, and think of me. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Because I don't care what anybody says, that guy is serious eye candy. Well, we've got to run, but we hope you've enjoyed the show, and we hope you join us again next week. Until then, have a great week, and go Blazers.